Okay, we're in Javier Becerra's Chinatown, and this is downtown Los Angeles. You know it well. There's Hollywood Boulevard. There's the Chinese Theater. There's going to be Madame Tussauds across the street, the famous Roosevelt Hotel where the old Hollywood elite used to play. Down this way is Skid Row. Down up that way is the Scientology building here, and then all these acting schools clustered around Scientology to help grandchildren relieve their grandparents of money. And then up the street we've got the Hollywood Bowl. But this company right here was interesting to me, J2 Global. I stood out here with the pretty sharp guy who was this used to be part of my territory, pretty sharp guy who was, maybe he was an investigator, maybe he was not, but he's pretty sharp in the IT group, and he was saying, it's funny, most of the traffic here, they had a company called eFax, and a lot of this traffic, he was thinking this suspicious because a lot of this, 2/3 of the traffic of the network was going to China, but it was mostly between U.S. sources. He brought it to the attention of the management and so forth, went through all the right channels and so forth. Management didn't seem to care. I said, what kind of traffic is it? Oh, well, a lot of human resources departments use us because a lot of documents still need signatures. A lot of legal documents were the biggest customers, law firms and so forth. I said, people suing with EEO or people doing mining agreements or people doing oil leases, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all that stuff comes through. We have to keep that locked down, security. But this guy he kind of looked like an investigator. He just had those investigators' eyes. So anyway, I spent a couple days with this investigator, maybe he's just a great IT guy. And one of the places he seemed to be involved in the security of was this place called the Association. And it's kind of like one of those old speakeasies down. You go down this thing, you can't even see the front door. They don't have any signage on the front. It just says, you can see it here, it just, it's down these steps. It almost looks like a warehouse or the old speakeasy. I think it may have been an old speakeasy at one time. And the Association, sometimes people say that's a pseudonym for the CIA, like the company and so forth. But as you go through there's all these nooks and crannies. There's this front area. Anyway, there was all these young Chinese guys buying girls drinks for $20 a drink, it seemed like, and just like they were trying to actually launder money. It actually looked like a money laundering operation, or else people who just like to buy water-drawn drinks extremely expensive. So, it turns out I met with the health inspector the day before, and then they ended up having a visit from the health inspector, which I was completely surprised by, and they wiped this thing down after the health inspector got there like it was autoclave. It was almost like they were dusting for fingerprints. I mean, man, they really went through this place and cleaned it. And I started thinking, that's the perfect cops and robbers situation. If you had the speakeasy, like the old Chicago Capone days, making about 80% of the profit, every once in a while you have a raid for the public and a raid for the press, you take your 20% in terms of bail for all the people you arrest. Everybody spends about an hour in jail playing cards, and everybody goes home. You take pictures of everybody in jail, all the mobsters in handcuffs, and away you go. That way everybody knows who's involved. And it reminded me so much of Andrew McCabe and this spying. It's only a little bit more sophisticated. If you don't pay a contribution to Hillary, you go to jail. For real. Martha Stewart is a good example. So I started looking and started saying, well, what kind of deals would be going through here? And I thought, well, maybe nuclear deals. And I did a couple of searches on just uranium and China. And this is what I came up with. China Nuclear Power Group. And I thought, oh, here's all the same names, Areva, for removal. And then I started looking at all these different things, China Nuclear, National Nuclear, and so forth. And this Husab mine. And then I obviously would drill down on that. Husab mine turns out to be in Namibia. And it's got it's going to be a biggie. It's the second biggest one. And then I noticed this weird name, this Swakop uranium mine. I thought, that Swakop, that reminds me of, I just saw this. Remember Peter Thiel of Palantir, Mr. Logistics, Mr. Worldwide Logistics, Mr. kind of the new backbone, the new dying for backbone for all of our intelligence agencies. And I thought, Swakop, I remember that, somewhere in South Africa. I thought, Peter Thiel, I think he went to a school named Swakop in South Africa. Is Peter Thiel involved with the Husab mining project? I don't know, to be honest, I have no idea. So let's trace it real quick. Here's Swakop, and there's that nice national park again. It's kind of like the government's almost setting aside mining resources for their own pay-to-play little group. And it's right by Swakop Munt. Now, I know that means the end of the Swakop River, and I I think I remember it because it was swamp. I don't remember why exactly. But I thought of Valerie Plain, and I thought of Niger and Nigeria and all this Africa. What I didn't find in Africa with Joe Wilson, and I kind of wanted to go up the Congo, and trace this up. And then I found Lusaka, which is where Mark Lambert's son is, in Lusaka, with the African power symbol saying journalists lie about what's happening in the mines. And then I remember the grandfather of Mark Lambert went there in this Zambia operation. And I remember the Krupnik crushers as we got closer to the Shinkolobwe mine. And then I remember Naomi Campbell and the other guy from Congo talking about the Shinkolobwe and how it was 10 times more pure than anything in the world. I thought, gosh, that'd be awfully tempting. If I was over on this side, I would go through a town called Lubumbashi. Lubumbashi. And I wonder if I ever said that before in a film, crossing the Lubumbashi right there to get to the Shinkolobwe mine. I wonder if that's where the trucks go, and that's the carryover point. If you had Krupnik crushers. I'm just saying, if you had Krupnik crushers, you could then put them on a plane in Lusaka, if you reduced it down to yellow cake, and then get it over here. Get it over here and get it to the mining operation down here. Or you could drive the ore. I just don't think these African roads are just not that great. I just don't think they drive the ore. I would want to Krupnik crush it up here and reduce it and then turn it in, maybe put it on a ship here and then ship it off to Kamiko maybe I'd want to send it to Kamiko in Canada at Blind River and get it spun at Blind River. Okay, so here we have the Shinkolobwe mine in Wyoming. This made me think of Dick Cheney right away, and Genie Resources and Genie Energy and Resources for the Future, and Seth Rich and the whole crew, the whole Genie Energy crew with, Woolsey and the whole gang. Not Rothschild though, not Rothschild. And here's Kamiko. Now, if I was Kamiko and you were driving your ore up here and I was crushing it, using the Krupnik crushers here and turning it into yellow cake, you know what I'd do? I'd send it to my own facility in Blind River, Canada, and then I could send it anywhere I wanted over the world. It's supposed to come back. It's supposed to come back to Tennessee, right? To Y12 or one of the other nuclear facilities, power plants, with Lambert's transportation company, Transport Logistics. But we know from John Solomon's article that it didn't go there. It went to the Urenco, and Urenco, man, the middleman there is a guy named. Not Adnan Khashoggi. The new guy is Chiguri, but I think he plays the same role. Drugs go one way, arms go the other. Yellow cake, uranium. Uranium is the cover on top. So anyway, that's how it gets to the UAE. Because you know what? I think the UAE ambassador also has a trucking company. That's strange. The UAE ambassador has a trucking company, and it's going to go to Iran. The final destination of all this is going to be Iran. And that's why they shut down Piketown. And that's why they shut down Paducah.